The movie begins with an emergency broadcast. A mysterious new virus has appeared at an airport, and within hours the infected turn violent. The World Health Organization urges an immediate lockdown, but much of the public refuses to believe it, convinced the government is lying to control them. Without cooperation, the outbreak spreads unchecked from city to city, and within 2 months it has become a full-blown global pandemic. The infected don't just get sick, they transform into furious, feral, zombie-like beings. The government tries to enforce quarantine zones, but citizens riot in the streets, some even arguing that the infected are still people with rights. The military is sent in to force people home, and the clash between soldiers and civilians only accelerates the collapse. One afternoon, without warning, every television channel goes dead. In a quiet house, a young boy named Luke is watching cartoons when the signal cuts to a news bulletin about the outbreak, and then to nothing at all. He and his older sister, Abigail, are pulled together by their mother, and the family gets their pilot father on a video call. He tells them he can't come home right now, but he promises they'll be safe with their mother. Moments later, they hear a commotion outside, a helicopter, shouting and a noise from upstairs. The mother rushes the kids out to the car. Before they can get inside, a zombie lunges out of nowhere and attacks the mother and bit her. It then turns on Luke, who tries to run, and bites him too, killing him. Abigail watches in horror from her hiding place beneath the car. Luke, in his last moments, cries out for his sister. Before Abigail can go to him, their mother, now succumbing to the infection, reanimates as a zombie and crawls toward her dying son to feed. Abigail tries to stop her, but she turns on her instead. At that exact moment, a police officer arrives and shoots her down. His name is Cassius. He pulls Abigail from under the car, and she throws her arms around him in relief. But then Luke begins to stir and reanimate. Cassius tells Abigail to close her eyes and cover her ears, and puts her brother down. As 10 years pass, more than 90% of humanity is gone, and the world has become a post-apocalyptic ruin. Overgrown cities, empty highways, nature reclaiming everything humans built. Abigail, now a teenager, still lives with Cassius, who has raised her as his own daughter ever since that day. The two of them survive out in the wilderness, moving by horseback, hunting for food, and constantly training. In the forest, Abigail lines up a clean shot and drops a deer in one try, though Cassius still scolds her for being too hasty, too eager to pull the trigger. That night, they make camp and rig a perimeter of tripwires, strung with bells to warn them of anything approaching, while Abigail sketches their surroundings and Cassius checks the map. Hours later, the bells ring. Cassius investigates quietly and finds nothing but a bit of lint caught on the wire. He thought it was nothing until he hears something else moving nearby. He readies his weapon just in time to shoot down an approaching zombie, likely a scout sent ahead of a larger horde. He wakes Abigail, and by morning they've broken camp and moved on, continuing their training routine as they ride. Later, they spot a car in the distance and a man being run down by a zombie. Abigail lines up a shot to help him, but she fires too fast and the bullet hits the man as well as the creature attacking him. They go down to inspect the mess. Cassius delivers a mercy kill with a blade before scavenging the body, taking the man's shoes without much sentiment. A radio in the car crackles to life, someone trying to reach the man. Abigail wants to answer and warn whoever it is, but Cassius tells her to leave it and move on. Just then, more vehicles roll up, and an armed group surrounds them, having found their dead companion and assumed Abigail and Cassius murdered him for his belongings. The leader threatens to execute them on the spot, and the standoff turns violent. Abigail and Cassius manage to disarm the two nearest attackers and turn the group's own weapons back on them. Just as it's about to become a bloodbath, a very pregnant woman named Megan steps out of one of the cars and begs everyone to stand down. Before anyone can answer her, the horses start panicking. A massive zombie horde has found them, drawn by all the noise, and it descends on the group from every direction. Everyone opens fire, but there are simply too many. Cassius and Abigail are forced into close combat with blades as the guns run dry, and the untrained survivors in Megan's convoy start falling one after another. A woman preparing a Molotov cocktail is attacked mid-throw and stumbles into a car, setting off a small explosion. A bitten man tries to end things himself before he can turn, but runs out of bullets and reanimates anyway. The convoy's leader is caught by an unusually large, powerful zombie and beaten to death in front of everyone. Megan's husband David is attacked by a zombie, but manages to kick it off. In the chaos, Abigail helps get Megan and David into a car. Cassius clears a path, killing several more zombies. They speed off, but one of the zombies is clinged to the rooftop. Cassius slams the brakes to shake a creature off the roof. Abigail grabs their belongings on the way out. Behind them, the massive lead zombie realizes its mate is dead and lets out a furious roar. On the road, Abigail checks their remaining ammunition and finds most of it gone. Megan explains where they were headed, a colony built out on a river called Boat Town, a settlement made of linked ships. She and David reveal they originally came from Garden City, the very city Cassius had been quietly hoping to reach, but it was overrun and destroyed. Cassius and Abigail are skeptical. They've seen other so-called colonies before, and none of them ever last. Before the debate can go further, the car's engine gives out entirely, and the group is forced to continue on foot through an abandoned town. They find a defensible building to hole up in for the night, and Cassius sets tripwires and a small explosive trap around the perimeter before they settle in to eat and get acquainted. Alone for a moment, Abigail confronts Cassius, insisting they should help the couple reach the colony. He refuses. In his experience, isolation is the only way to survive. Unable to sleep that night, David and Cassius end up talking. Cassius shows him that he always keeps one spare bullet for himself in case he's ever bitten. David has nothing but a cigarette and a twisted ankle he claims is nothing serious. The two men talk for a long while and form an unexpected bond, and it's enough to change Cassius's mind. He agrees to help get them to the colony after all. Unbeknownst to them, the zombies have found their abandoned car and picked up their trail toward the city. The next morning, Abigail hears a noise downstairs and goes to check it out. A zombie ambushes her, knocking her weapon away, but she manages to kill it with her knife before a second one chases her back up the stairs. Cornered, she throws herself and the creature through a broken window. She nearly follows it out, but Cassius catches her just in time. Moments later, the horde reaches the building. One zombie trips a wire on the way in and is blown apart by the trap Cassius left behind, buying the group precious distance. As they keep moving, Abigail recognizes the terrain. There's a small civilian airport nearby where her father used to fly a private plane. Cassius is against the detour, worried an open airport will make them easy for the horde to corner, and certain any planes will be long gone anyway. But Abigail, Megan, and David outvote him, so he reluctantly follows on the way. They pass a car with a man freshly killed by a gunshot. Cassius sends Abigail to search a nearby building for supplies. Sensing they aren't alone, she doesn't linger and finds only a bit of coffee, never realizing a family is hiding silently in one of the rooms. Cassius checks the dead man's car and finds a wheelchair, which they immediately put to use, getting Megan around faster. After they move on, the horde finds the building and slaughters the hidden family within seconds. At the airport, there isn't a plane in sight, and David and Cassius start to argue over what to do next, until Abigail finds her father's old hangar. Inside is a plane. In the building, she also finds an old photograph of herself with her father lying on the floor and stops to hang it back on the wall. David, with mechanical know-how, gets to work trying to repair the aircraft while Cassius and Abigail search the building for fuel and keep watch. It isn't long before the horde catches up, forcing everyone to scramble aboard before repairs are finished. Cassius opens fire to hold the zombies back, while David spins the propeller by hand to help the engine catch. Abigail, who's never flown before, fumbles through the controls just fast enough to get the plane rolling down the runway as the creatures close in. One zombie manages to cling to the door, but Cassius fights it off loose. The plane lifts off just ahead of the horde, and for a moment, everyone breathes. Few minutes into the flight, the engine starts failing and the plane begins to go down. Abigail fights to control the descent, and they clip a cluster of trees before crashing to the ground. Surprisingly, everyone survives with only minor injuries. They press on by foot and find an abandoned train station, deciding to rest there for the night since it's still a 2-day walk to the colony. Ammunition is dangerously low. That night, Megan, unable to sleep and hungry, comes across Cassius, and he helps her open a can of food. The two talk, and he opens up about his own past. His wife had also been pregnant when the outbreak hit, and he lost both her and their unborn child. Megan thanks him for everything he's done for her and David. She gives him a small handmade gift, and later a locket containing a photo of herself, David, and their dog as a keepsake. She then tells him he needs to learn to trust people again. Elsewhere in the station, David slips away to examine his leg in private. His twisted ankle is actually a bite wound, and the infection is already spreading. He pulls his gun on himself, unable to bear the thought of turning and endangering his wife, but can't bring himself to pull the trigger, and returns to the group without saying anything. The next day, walking under a punishing sun, David's condition worsens visibly. Once the women are far enough ahead, Cassius pulls him aside, examines the wound, and confirms what he already suspected. He gives David an ultimatum: tell the others himself soon, or he will end it for him that night. Before that reckoning comes, they spot a house with the lights on, a sign someone is still alive there. A voice from inside challenges them. Cassius hesitates, but Abigail steps forward and explains they mean no harm, mentioning the pregnant woman with them. The door opens and a man comes out with his gun pointing at them. He orders them to leave every weapon in a box outside before he'll let them in. His name is Norton, and once they're disarmed, his whole demeanor shifts. Inside, the house runs on electricity and hot water thanks to devices Norton says he built himself. He claims to be an engineer who has survived alone out there for 20 years. When Cassius asks about a wife, Norton deflects. He feeds the group bread and vegetables and lets Abigail take a long overdue shower. Cassius finds out Norton's wife had been pregnant before the outbreak. Alone with Cassius, Megan admits she's terrified. She hasn't felt the baby move since they arrived, and makes him promise that if anything happens to her, he'll take care of her child. Later that evening, Norton pours drinks and starts talking about how humanity brought the pandemic on itself for what it did to the planet, framing the virus as a kind of evolution, survival of the fittest. Everyone grows uneasy. Cassius notices a strange, unfamiliar device on the table. Norton takes it away before he can look closer. What none of them realize is that their drinks have been drugged. David, growing sicker by the minute, steps away to check the bathroom mirror and sees the infection has spread visibly through his veins. And when he comes back out, he finds the rest of the group unconscious. Norton is standing over them in a lab coat, holding a strange mechanical device, something like a dog whistle that only affects the infected. He uses it on David and drops him too. The group wakes tied up in Norton's basement. He's been taking notes on them like lab specimens, and he reveals the truth. He's kept his own infected wife locked in a cage this whole time, using his device to control her. He releases her and sicks her on the captives. Cassius and Abigail try to fight her off, but David, not yet fully turned and stronger than he should be, breaks free of his restraints and finally overpowers her, freeing the others. Norton tries to use his device to stop them, but David pushes through the pain anyway. Cassius manages to grab a weapon and gets a shot off at Norton, who flees rather than risk it. The group barricades a door as Norton starts hacking at it with an axe, grabs their gear and his car keys, and makes a run for the vehicle. On the way out, they discover Megan's water has broken in the struggle. Norton comes out to watch the group leave while his wife growls at him. The horde followed the trail of chaos and catches up with them on the road. Just as they reach the colony, a fallen tree blocks their path, forcing everyone out of the car with the horde closing in fast. Nearly out of ammunition and accepting he's going to turn regardless, David chooses to stay behind and buy the others time. He and Megan share a devastating goodbye, and before the group leaves him, Cassius hands him his own spare bullet. Once they're clear, David lights a final cigarette and fights the horde bare-handed, taking down several zombies until the big one sneaks up from behind and snaps his neck. Abigail, Cassius, and Megan keep running, Abigail firing behind them and screaming for help. The colony's guards hear her and open fire on the pursuing horde, cutting down enough of them that the survivors retreat back into the trees. The trio is finally let inside Boat Town. Megan is rushed straight to the infirmary, where a midwife named Nancy takes over her care through the night, while Cassius and Abigail are screened to confirm neither of them is infected. Cassius immediately wants to leave, distrustful of any settlement this large, but Abigail, exhausted from years of running and hungry for something resembling a normal life, refuses to go. They meet the colony's leader, George, who welcomes them warmly, and Abigail meets a teenage boy named Roderick, who takes an obvious interest in her. The next morning, the midwife brings Cassius grim news. The baby is healthy, but Megan herself won't survive much longer. Cassius sits with her in her final hours. She names her daughter Hope and reminds him of the promise he made. She then presses her family locket into his hands before she passes. Cassius takes on the responsibility of raising Hope, wrapping her in a blanket Megan had made by hand. Nancy, who lost her own family to the outbreak, helps care for the baby as well. That night, the colony holds a small gathering for its younger residents. Alcohol flows and Abigail spends the evening with Roderick, dancing and talking while Cassius sits quietly with baby Hope, with two of the guards dozing off from drink. Some of the teens sneak off to explore. Abigail follows Roderick into a restricted area where she finds a strange remote control. Before she can press it, he stops her and reveals it's the trigger for Plan B. The entire colony is rigged with explosives, which is meant to be detonated if zombies ever breach it, destroying everything rather than letting the infection spread further. He shows her a hidden tunnel beneath the colony leading to an underwater escape route, so residents can get clear before any detonation. Out in the forest, Norton stumbles on the aftermath of David's death and catches his first glimpse of the colony's lights. The horde tries to attack him, but he subdues them instantly with his device. Realizing he now has an army at his command, he targets for revenge. The next morning, he approaches one of the colony's boat patrols, kills the guard, and lets an infected creature slip into the water and climb aboard to take out a second guard. With the perimeter compromised, he unleashes the entire horde on the sleeping colony. Chaos erupts as zombies flood in. Armed residents fight back but are quickly overwhelmed. Abigail helps organize the other teenagers. Some take up higher positions to provide cover fire, while Roderick guides survivors toward the escape tunnel. As the panic spreads, Nancy takes Hope from Cassius, so he's free to search for Abigail. Ammunition runs out everywhere. George, the colony leader, is caught and killed trying to flee. Cassius and Abigail finally reunite and fight their way through the horde together. Cassius spots Norton and charges at him, but is knocked down by a zombie. He manages to stab it off just as Norton approaches him and starts beating him, ranting about making the world safer. Cassius fights back, slams Norton against a wall, and smashes his control device to pieces. Freed from his command, the zombies, including his own infected wife, turn on Norton and tear him apart on the spot. The rest of the survivors make it through the tunnel to the evacuation point, begging Roderick to trigger the detonators, but he holds off because Abigail still isn't clear. As she and Cassius fight their way toward the exit, the massive lead zombie lunges at her. Cassius knocks it down with a blunt strike. As it falls, Abigail notices a bracelet on its wrist, the same one her father once wore, engraved with her name. She finally understands the Horde's leader has been her own father all along, infected and lost a decade ago while trying to reach his family. The shock freezes her in place until Cassius drags her the rest of the way to the hatch. They make it through just as Roderick, unable to wait any longer, detonates the charges, and the entire colony goes up, taking most of the Horde with it. The survivors regroup at the dam beyond the tunnel, watching the colony burn in the distance. Suddenly, a bitten man named John appears among them, waving a gun and warning everyone to keep their distance before he turns. As Cassius tries to talk him down, the massive lead zombie, Abigail's father, reappears out of nowhere and kills John outright. Cassius moves in to finish the fight for good, and the two of them tear into each other in one last brutal struggle. Abigail raises her gun, torn between her memory of the father she loved and the man who actually raised her, unable to pull the trigger even as the zombie sinks its teeth toward Cassius's arm. Only the leather bracelet on Cassius's wrist keeps the bite from breaking skin. Abigail finds the courage to fire, ending him herself to save Cassius's life. She rushes to him and holds on tight, both of them finally free of the Horde that had hunted them for so long. In the aftermath, the survivors take stock of what's left. Cassius reveals he managed to grab Norton's notebook in the chaos. It details plans for the generator that once powered his house. Now their next move is to settle on this small island.